If it's Friday night, say yeah, for it's another edition of Strictly Sports NFL Friday. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer here with you. Week 17 of NFL Friday. Unbelievable. I cannot believe we're already at the finish line here. I mean, crazy. Uh, it was it feels like it was just yesterday that we were starting another season of this, and now here we are, week 17. Just unbelievable how this has gone by so quick. So as always, I am your host, Anthony Floyer, joined, of course, by Michael Bullock. I'm not sure if good old Michael Fletcher will be joining us this evening or not. Um, if he does, we'll catch him up on what he missed when he comes in, or if not, then we'll just see him next time, I guess. So, week 17, here and now. I mean, unbelievable. So, it's a mixed bag this week. I mean, all it really is we're just gonna get into we'll get into all the games, of course, and I'll give you my notes as always. But you know, we'll dive a little more when it comes to games so with all that being said, let's start it off. We're gonna start it off with, I would have to say, when it comes to our side of the ledger, I gotta say this is our Zonk game of the week because this game has no playoff implications whatsoever. It's the Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Buffalo Bills up at New Era Field in Buffalo. We got, and this game will be on CBS. So, by the way, Beth Mowins. Beth Mowins will be on the call alongside Steve Berline, and Buffalo opening up as 5.5 to 6 point favorites. These teams met just 4 weeks ago in Miami, and the Dolphins won that one 21-17. So that improves the Dolphins' series lead now to 60-44 with a tie. Buffalo won the one last year in Buffalo 24-16. Dolphins won there the year before 2016, a wild 34-31 overtime 5-star classic. So nothing more to say. Let's start off with Miami and Buffalo here on week 17. Adam Gase's message this week has been 8-8 sounds a lot better than 7-9. We'll see if his team buys it and shows up in a rather meaningless game in wintry Buffalo. The Dolphins are 1-5 over their past 6 contests in Buffalo. Josh Allen chewed up the Dolphins' defense on the ground in the first meeting, and it's tough to expect much different this time. The Dolphins are 1-6 on the road this season and have been outscored by 98 points away from Hard Rock Stadium, second worst in the NFL behind only the Cardinals. The Bills are 3-2 when Josh Allen has started at New Era Field. Advantage Buffalo. Buffalo a 67.3% favorite, though Josh Allen is looking to become the first player in Bills history to lead the team in both passing and rushing yards in a season. It hasn't been reflected in his total QBR or the Bills' offensive efficiency. Allen ranks 28th among qualified quarterbacks in total QBR, and the Bills rank second worst in offensive efficiency this season, according to FPI. It'll still be a close game, but I got the Buffalo Bills. I got my Buffalo Bills winning this one. No question about this. I'm going to go. I will go. Let's go 24-21. Buffalo over Miami. So, really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in. Dolphins and the Bills in Buffalo. The only game when it comes to the AFC side of the ledger, the only game that really has no implications whatsoever.
Yeah, but this is a chance, like you said, for one of these two to take something going into next season. So yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. I do agree with everything you just brought up. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills as well. Yeah, I'll go 24-21 is gonna be the final score. So who knows? Maybe Josh Allen can take something to end his rookie season. So who know, and into next year. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So that being said, let's move on to our next game. Flory, are you there?
Oh my god, I forgot to unmute my mic. Dipsy do botcheroo, long day. But anyways, yep. Going into this week, I was really dreading it because divisional matchups usually not that really exciting, but some of these are. This one is not one of them. This is another one of the games that have no implications whatsoever for both sides. We started with the AFC East. Now we're going to go to the NFC North in one of the great rivalries of all time. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the Green Bay Packers on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Of course, as always, this one will be on Fox, and just trying to... Okay, there we go. All right. On the call for this one will be a brand new team. We got Justin Kutcher, Robert Smith, Pat McAfee, and Sarah Kustok for this one. And spread favors the Green Bay Packers by 7.5 to 9. They met earlier this season, of course. They met back on October the 7th, which I believe was week 5. They met in Detroit, and the Lions won that one by a count of 31 to 23. So it cuts Green Bay's series lead now to 98 to 71 with 7 ties, with the Lions winning at Ford Field in October. And give it up for the Lions. The Lions have now won 3 in a row against the Packers, including last year at Lambeau, 30 to 17. Packers' last home win was the year before, 2016. That was a 34-27 final. So I do believe there are no implications in this one. Yep, I am correct on that. No implications here. So Bullock, for the longest time, the Detroit Lions couldn't buy a win at Lambeau Field. From 1992 to 2014, they had lost every single year, but they won finally in 2015. They won again last year. They've won 2 of the last 3 at Green Bay. Can they make it 3 out of 4, or will the Packers finally stop the bleeding here?
Yeah, I mean, normally, these two would be in the conversation for a division title or even playoff implications, but not for these two. I mean, Green Bay once again missing out on the playoffs, and Detroit. I mean, what can you say about them? They, like you said, they won 3 in a row against Green Bay. So, yeah. But the thing is, with the Detroit Lions, they have lost 7 of their last 9 games, and they are assured of finishing in last place in the NFC North. And of course, the Packers, they're coming off of a road win against the Jets last week, but looks like they're going to be finishing in 3rd place. So to me, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win this one. My final score, I'm going to go 28 to 20 is going to be my final score. So Florio, I give it to you.
Detroit has nothing but pride and a few performance and playing time incentives for some players to play for. Green Bay is in a similar situation, but at least publicly, some of the Packers' biggest stars are campaigning for their interim coach, Joe Philbin, to be hired full-time. In a game like this, that could be enough of a difference to pick one team over another. Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers, and the Lions' offense hasn't scored more than 20 points since November 11th. The Packers showed plenty of fight last week against the Jets. They could have packed it in when they were down 15 points in the second half. So why wouldn't they show similar resolve in their season finale? They seem to have bought into Joe Philbin's message of 5 years from now, you're not probably going to remember the score of the Jets game, but you'll remember the feelings you had in the locker room. Philbin should end up 3-1 as the interim coach. Green Bay, 80.6% favorite. Both teams are eliminated from playoff contention, but the Lions have a lot on the line when it comes to next season's draft. Detroit is currently in the number 5 spot in the draft order, but could go as high as number 2 or as low as number 10, depending on results around the league. FPI currently gives the Lions an 81% chance of a top 5 pick next season. Green Bay wins. I 100% agree with Bullock here. 28-13 is my final score. Green Bay over Detroit. And now we're going to get into our first game with playoff implications of some sort. It's an AFC South divisional matchup, and we have the Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Houston Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston. This game is over on CBS, and it will be Andrew Catalan, James Lofton, and Jay Feely on the call. And the spread favors the Houston Texans, 6.5 to 7. These teams met back on October 21st in Jacksonville, and the Texans won that one by a score of 20 to 7. So that count that Houston win over Jacksonville on October 21, and it now gives Houston a now 20 to 13 all-time series lead. The Jaguars swept last year, but Houston, got it in there. Jaguars won in Houston last year, 29 to 7. Houston's last home win over Jacksonville was the year before, 2016. That was a 21 to 20 final. So without any further ado, our first game with playoff implications. Blake Bortles is back as the Jaguars starting quarterback. But the biggest lineup change involves the right tackle position. Josh Wells is likely out with a concussion, which means the Jaguars will be starting fourth-string options at right and left tackle against J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. Running back Leonard Fournette, with a foot and ankle, might not play either, so the Jaguars might rely on the read option more than they have at any point since Bortles joined the team in 2014. Texans need the win to capture the AFC South Division title. They anticipate having running back Lamar Miller back after missing last week's game. Miller adds balance to the offense, which still scored plenty of points against the Eagles without him. Deshaun Watson continues to find ways to extend plays and make things happen down the field. This week will be no different. Expect Watson and wideout DeAndre Hopkins to connect for at least one touchdown against the Jaguars, who have nothing to play for from a playoff perspective. What's at stake? The Texans can clinch the AFC South with a win or a tie between the Colts and Titans. They would secure a first-round bye with a win and a Patriots loss, or a win combined with losses by the Chiefs and Chargers, and a tie in the strength of victory tiebreaker over the Chiefs. They also have an outside chance at AFC home field advantage. They would need a win and losses by the Patriots, Chiefs, and Chargers. Houston is a 76.7% favorite. The Texans are in the postseason, but their seeding is still very much up in the air. The Texans can still be the number one seed, although FPI only gives it a 0.3% chance. 10% chance at the number 2 seed, 67% as the number 3 seed, and 23% as the number 6. So there's nothing more to say on this. I got the Houston Texans winning this one. I'm going to go 27-14. Houston over Jacksonville. They will win the AFC South, and they'll be, at worst, the 3 seed. I think they will be the 3 seed as far as I'm concerned. So 27-14, Houston over Jacksonville. Michael Bullock, come on in. You heard all the scenarios. All Houston has to do is win.
Yeah, I mean, this would definitely be the culmination of a season that, oddly enough, they were 0-3 to start the season, and not many people were giving them a chance. But now, here they are on the verge of an AFC South division title. They already clinched a playoff berth, but yeah, I think for sure they're definitely going to be the number 3 seed and playing on Wild Card Weekend. But don't sleep on the Jaguars. I mean, they're going to be playing with pride. So the Texans better not sleep on them, especially with that defense of Jacksonville. So and now, of course, Jacksonville going back to Blake Bortles. Uh, so who knows? Maybe it could be a chance for him to really take something going into next season. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do have the Houston Texans winning this one. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to go 24 to 13 is going to be my final score. So nothing more to say. Let's move right along to our next game.
And this is another game with playoff implications, big time playoff implications. And it's your team, Bullock, your New England Patriots. As the New England Patriots will be at home at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough as they host the New York Jets. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots at Gillette in Foxborough. 1 o'clock, of course. This is on CBS. Of course, we'll have it on our local affiliate, WPRI 12, as always, because it is the Patriots, and that's where we are. So, Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, Evan Washburn, they'll be there. New England, sizable favorites. 13.5 to 14.5 is the spread for the Patriots. They met last month, Thanksgiving weekend, November 25th. They met in the Meadowlands. Patriots won that one by a score of 27-13. So that now adds to New England's regular season series lead over the Jets. It's now 62-53 with a tie. That win just made it 5 in a row for the Patriots, and a win here would give them a season sweep for the third consecutive year. Something the Patriots have not done since 2003 through 2005. That's the last time the Patriots swept the Jets 3 years in a row. So they have a chance to do that here with a win. So Bullock, before I started with you, I'll break it down for you. They already won the AFC East. They won that with the win over Buffalo. And we talked about it. We had a late night text chat last Sunday. You texted me. And believe it or not, folks, after everything they've been through, all those EDP 445 rants a la Derek Ferreira, this team still has a chance at the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. How do they do that? All they have to do is win and hope for both the Chiefs and the Chargers to lose. Otherwise, they can clinch a first-round bye with a victory or losses by the Ravens, Texans, and Titans. We already know the Jets are out of it, so there's nothing more to say here. So, Bullock, all your Pats have to do is win, and they will at worst, get a first-round bye. But they win, and KC and LA both lose. This team's the number 1 seed after everything they've been through and all those EDP rants we've had to endure from Derek. Wow.
Yeah, and could you imagine if that happened? I mean, all those rants would be, can we say, all for naught?
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
I think that would shut Derek up once and for all, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but well, the Patriots, they got to do their job first. I mean,
right?
They got. I mean, we know that the Jets are not good, but the Patriots, they're still going to take them seriously, and yeah, I mean, and of course they do have they have to face 2 of their talented cornerbacks. That the Jets have in Tremaine Johnson and Morris Claiborne, so they could be a challenge. But I just think the weapons that they have, I think, will definitely be enough for Tom Brady to feed guys like Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, and maybe we can get guys like Philip Dorsett and Chris Hogan to step up and maybe another solid running attack from Sony Michel. But who knows? I mean, and Sam Darnold. I mean, since he's returned from his injury, he's thrown 6 touchdown passes and 1 interception for a passer rating above 100. So who knows? Maybe this could be something, but I just don't see that happening. I think the Patriots will win this one. I'm going to say my final score is going to be 30 to 17. The Patriots will, like you said, I mean, at least clinch that first round bye, which it'll be another first round bye and they haven't played on Wild Card Weekend since 2009, and looks like it's going to stay that way. So all the Patriots have to do is just do their job and win, and hope for a lot of help. And like you said, having the Chargers and Chiefs lose, will that happen? Who knows? I mean, we've seen strange things happen in Week 17, so we'll just have to wait and see. Florio, I give it to you.
Oh yeah, we've seen strange things happen in Week 17. Remember last year with my Buffalo Bills? Any stranger than that? I didn't
If
think
if
so.
that's not an indication of strange things that's happened in Week 17, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you remember Buffalo? I mean, they needed all kinds of help just to get in. I mean, we had to beat Miami, which was not easy. We did that, and then we needed a lot of help, and praise the Lord, we ended up getting it. Unbelievable. But that was then. This is now. So, anyways, can the Jets give Coach Todd Bowles a winning send off? Don't bet on it. Bowles, who likely will be fired Monday, is getting a lot of effort out of his players, but effort won't be enough to upset a motivated Patriots team. Rookie quarterback Sam Darnold has the NFL's highest QBR over the past 3 games, but he probably won't have receivers Quincy Enunwa and Jermaine Kearse. That means Robbie Anderson will draw extra coverage, causing the offense to bog down. Patriots are the NFL's only undefeated team at home this season at 7-0, and they have talked this week about approaching the finale as a playoff type game because of what is at stake. With a victory, they will earn a first round bye for the 9th consecutive season. As Tom Brady said in one interview, a bye is essentially the same as winning in the playoffs, which is hard to do. They figure to work hard to change up their looks on Jets rookie quarterback Sam Darnold. We already talked about what's at stake here. 88.9% favorite for New England. The Patriots can clinch a first round bye with a win or with help from others around the AFC, and FPI puts their odds at 90%. The Patriots also have a slim shot at the number 1 overall seed with a win and losses by the Chiefs and Chargers, but the odds of that are just 3%, according to FPI. Of course, I will definitely agree on this one. Gillette Stadium, toughest place to win, hands down, as far as I'm concerned. Told many of people that I know that very notion. So it's all New England all the time. 34-17. 34-17. That's my score. New England Patriots over the New York Jets. They will at worst get a first round bye. But you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened, especially last year with Buffalo. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next game. And I don't know if this one has any implications. I'm going to look into that in just a moment. But we go now to the NFC South, and we'll get into the Carolina Panthers squaring off against the New Orleans Saints. Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. Nothing is at stake. So this is really just a pride game here. New Orleans opening up as 7 to 7.5 point favorites. This game's on Fox. Kenny Albert, Rondé Barber, Christina Pink on the call. These two teams just met a couple weeks ago on a Monday night back on December 17th in Charlotte. Ugly game, a Michael Fletcher style game, but it was New Orleans who won that one by a score of, get this, 12-9. That's a Michael Fletcher score. And I know MF was very pleased with that defensive battle in Charlotte. So with that win by New Orleans, it now adds to it actually cuts Carolina's series lead down to 1. It's now 24-23. And that is now 4 in a row, including the playoff game last year. Saints won at home 31-21. Matter of fact, they've won each of the last 2 years in the Dome. Carolina last won in New Orleans in 2015, a wild 41-38 5-star shootout in the Dome there. So nothing more to say. Let's get into the Panthers and the Saints. Let's see. Quarterback Kyle Allen will make his first start for the Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater might get the start for New Orleans if Drew Brees is rested. The Panthers might have more interest in evaluating Bridgewater with the uncertainty surrounding Cam Newton's future because of a sore shoulder. Bridgewater will be a free agent in the offseason and has experience in Norv Turner's offense from their time together in Minnesota. Advantage Bridgewater. The Saints have not officially revealed whether Drew Brees and other starters will be rested. But if Brees does play, it should be minimal, which means we could see Bridgewater in his first significant action since 2015. The Saints are 0-3 when Brees has missed a game or barely played. And ironically, all three of those games came against Carolina. The Saints rested starters in 2017 and 2006 and 2009, and when Brees was injured in 2015. But this time, the Panthers are also down to the third-string quarterback Kyle Allen. Nothing at stake because the Saints have clinched NFC home field advantage, and Carolina out of contention. New Orleans is also an 88.9% favorite. The Saints have home field in the NFC wrapped up, so we don't know how much Brees and the rest of the starters will play. As it stands now, Brees has an 81.2 total QBR this season, which would be the seventh highest since ESPN began tracking in 2006, but only the third highest in the season by Brees. 82.3 in 2011 and 81.9 in their Super Bowl year of 2009. So I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to go with them to win this one. I'm going to go 23-20. Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. I'm going to go 28-13. New Orleans over Carolina. So nothing more to say. So Bullock, nothing at stake here. Saints have the home field all wrapped up. The road to the Super Bowl in the NFC will go through New Orleans. Carolina out of it. And another unknown quarterback, Kyle Allen. I didn't even know who Taylor Heinicke was. Who's Kyle Allen?
I don't know who he is. I mean, we never heard of him, but that's just how bad things have gotten for Carolina. I mean, after such a good start to the year, and they've just free fallen. And like you said, the New Orleans Saints, they got nothing to play for. I mean, they've already clinched the top seed in the NFC. The road to Super Bowl 53 on the NFC side will go through New Orleans. I don't expect the regulars to play a lot or at all. Who knows? Maybe Drew Brees might even sit this one out, or maybe play like just a little bit. But we'll definitely see mostly Teddy Bridgewater in this game. So I got New Orleans winning this one. I'm gonna go 24. I'm gonna go 24-10. It's gonna be my final score. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next game.
To the NFC East. Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the New York Giants. MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands. This one over on Fox. We have Kevin Burkhardt, Charles Davis, and Pam Oliver on the call. And the spread favors the Giants by 5.5. These two teams met all the way back in week number 2 on September the 16th on a Sunday night in Dallas. Cowboys won that one 20-13. So it now adds to Dallas's series lead. It is now 65-45 with 2 ties. Cowboys have now won 3 straight against the Giants and are looking to sweep them in back-to-back years for the first time since 2013 and 2014. There is nothing at stake here because the Cowboys have won the NFC East and they cannot move up from their number 4 seed. And of course, the Giants are out of it. So Bullock, this is a tough one to call here because you got to imagine Dallas is probably going to be resting their starters because, they won the division and they're locked into that 4th spot. So who wins here? This is a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Because who knows what Jason Garrett might be doing. I mean, he could be definitely resting. He could be resting some starters to because, like you said, they're locked in where they are. So, but we still may see Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. But if we do, not a lot. Same thing with Amari Cooper, but the Giants, I mean, they certainly have a point to prove here, so they could definitely finish up 6-10. I mean, yes, it's another losing season, but it's definitely better than last season. Uh, yeah, so this is a tough one. I mean, to me, I'm still gonna go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one. I think it's gonna be a close one. I'm gonna say 24-21. Dallas beats the Giants, but it would not surprise me to see the Giants pull out one here and yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So, Florio, I give it to you.
Cowboys are preparing for the Giants as if it is a normal week, but that does not mean they will play it like a normal game. Considering a win would not improve their playoff seeding, and an injury could ruin their playoff chances. The Giants have been out of it essentially since the midway point of the season, but have played better down the stretch, and this could be Eli Manning's final home game. Saquon Barkley was held to a season low 28 yards when these teams met in September, and has held to 31 and 43 yards the past 2 weeks. He should have more than 28 yards in the first quarter Sunday. Manning gets the proper send-off, and the Cowboys come home healthy for the playoffs. The Giants are likely to be the more motivated of the two teams, which is why they're close to a touchdown favorite. But even against the Cowboys' backup defense, that is too much to cover, but not to win. The Giants have averaged 70 points in 5 games against top 10 defenses this season, but they squeaked past the Cowboys' scoring game decided late. The Giants are a 52.7% favorite. The Cowboys are locked into the number 4 seed, but the Giants still have their spot in the 2019 draft up in the air. Through 8 weeks, the Giants were 1-7 and had a 65% chance at a top 5 pick, according to FBI. Now they have just a 5.5% chance at a top 5 pick. I'm going with the New York Giants in this one. I say the final score will be 20-16. The Giants over the Cowboys. So, with all that said, let's move on. And we move on to our final 1 o'clock matchup. And I'm pretty certain that this will be our final game that will have no playoff implications whatsoever. It's going to be the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa over on Fox. The legendary Dick Stockton, Mark Schlereth, and Jennifer Hale will be there. Atlanta, only a 1-point favorite, while another spread has this pick'em game. These two teams met back on October 14th, which I believe was week number 6 in Atlanta, and the Falcons won that one by a score of 34-29. So, according to the series history, it added to Atlanta's lead. It's now 26-24, and Atlanta will look to sweep the Bucs for the first time since 2009 and 2010. They won 3 in a row. They won in Tampa last year, 24-21. Matter of fact, they won the last 2 years in Tampa. Tampa Bay home win against the Falcons was 2015. That was a 23-19 final. So I believe all the schematics are out of the way. So let's get on to this one. The Falcons are trying to get good feelings going into next season. And finishing on a 3-game winning streak would help. Some of the players with expiring contracts certainly like to make one lasting impression. And this possibly being the last game for the coordinators might be even more motivation for an inspired effort. But the Falcons defense will have to slow down the Bucs' explosive playability. The Bucs lost the season finale under their head coach, Dirk Koetter, in the past 2 years. They put a last-second 31-24 win with the Saints last year with Cotter's job on the line. Some players might get the same type of end, believing they can save his job. For others, going on a high note in an otherwise disappointing 5-10 season and protecting their jobs for next year. And for as much as the Bucs defense has shown year. It has given up only 18.6 points a game at home, 35.1 on the road. Atlanta is a small favorite, 52.1%. This game has no playoff implications, but it could have fantasy playoff implications for any league still playing in Week 17. There could be plenty of offense as the Falcons rank third worst in defensive efficiency this season, 35.1 on a 0 to 100 scale, with the Buccaneers just one spot ahead of them at 35.2. So this is a very tough one to call, honestly, but I'm actually going to take a chance here, and I'm going to call for the upset here. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this one. 24-23, Tampa Bay over Atlanta. Nothing more to say. Bullock, who do you got in this NFC South matchup with no implications whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, both teams definitely have nothing to play for. I mean, both teams wrapping up disappointing seasons, none more than the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, because we all thought that this team had a chance to get back to the playoffs, and who knows, maybe another Super Bowl. But man, it's anything but that. I mean, but the thing that really hurt them this season was injuries. I mean, they lost some key players, so that really hurt their chances of making the playoffs. And yeah, and I mean Tampa Bay. I mean they're playing for pride and playing for their coach Dirk Cutter, because who knows, he may be another coach that could be out of a job come Monday. I mean, he's made plenty of mistakes since he went 9-7 in his first year as the team's coach in 2016. He waited too long before dismissing defensive coordinator Mike Smith and may have been too quick to bench quarterback Jameis Winston after 3 games. So, yeah, so this is a tough one here. I mean, because remember, I mean, you still got that offense for the Falcons, led by Matt Ryan, and of course, you still got Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and Calvin Ridley. So, oh man, this is tough. But to me, I'm sorry, Florio. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons to win this one. I'm going to say 27-23 is going to be my final score. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on to the late games of Week 17.
And pretty much all of these games, in one way or another, going forward the rest of the way, every game going forward the rest of the way will have some sort of playoff implications. And that's how we like it. Take a look at this first one. What a way to start off here. Big game in the AFC. I could probably consider this maybe the number 2 game of the week if I'm being honest, because there's one that's even bigger because it's winner take all. But here you go. The Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. 4:25 kickoff on CBS.
And guess who's doing this game?
Huh?
And guess who's doing this game?
I was about to mention that. You're not going to believe who's doing this one. Hello, friends. Yep, it's them. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will be in Baltimore for this one. Ravens opening up as 5.5-point favorites. These two teams met in Cleveland back on October the 7th, week number 5. And believe it or not, the Browns actually won that game 12-9 in overtime. And they cut the Ravens' large series history down to 29-10, snapping a 5-game losing streak to the Ravens. Ravens have won the last 2 meetings in Baltimore by a combined score of 52-17. The Browns have not won in Baltimore since an epic 33-30 overtime thriller in 2015. That's the last time Cleveland won in Baltimore. And Bullock, before I give it to you to start off this huge game, here come the implications. What's at stake? The Ravens control their own destiny. If they win this game, they will win the AFC North, if you can believe that, with a win or a Steelers loss to the Bengals. In that scenario, believe it or not, there is an outside chance they could clinch a first round bye. To do it, they would need a win, losses by the Patriots and Texans, and then either one of two results: a Colts-Titans outcome that doesn't end in a tie, or the Ravens clinching a tie in the strength of victory tiebreaker over the Texans. Cleveland, most improved team this year, bar none, but they're out of playoff contention. And if they had beaten Pittsburgh in week 1, Bullock, they would be in the running for the AFC North, if you could believe it. But they ended in a tie, that crazy game in week 1 against Pittsburgh. So Bullock, it's all on the line for the Ravens. They control their own destiny. All they got to do is just win, baby. And they get the division. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's like you said, win and you're in, no doubt. And who would have thunk it with they be in this position with Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback. I mean you got to give the coach John Harbaugh some credit here, because he could have gone back to the man that led him to a Super Bowl title a few years ago, and Joe Flacco, once he got healed up from his injury. But he stuck with them, and look, it's definitely paid off for them, and it would be their first division title since 2012, and would end a 3-year postseason drought for them. Of course, I mean, the Ravens, they put themselves in this position after defeating the LA Chargers last Saturday, which none of us saw coming. And yeah, I mean, they've won 5. They had won 5 in a row against the Browns before, of course, dropping a 12-9 overtime decision in Cleveland in week 5. So the Ravens, of course, they feature the league's most dominant defense, has since overhauled their offense with Jackson, and Lamar Jackson has rushed for 605 yards. That's the most among all quarterbacks. In his 6 starts, Jackson has rushed for 466 yards, which ranks 8th overall in the NFL since week 11. They need the running game revved up to set the tone against the Cleveland defense that ranks 29th in the league. But this Cleveland Browns team is going to fight hard, and believe it, Florio, with a win, they could actually clinch a winning season. I mean, I don't think any of us would have predicted that going into the season. We thought there was going to be another hard times, maybe winless season for them, but things are definitely different, and Baker Mayfield could definitely do that. But in the end, I got the Baltimore Ravens winning this one. I think that their defense is definitely going to make it tough on Baker Mayfield here, and I expect another big game for Lamar Jackson, not just passing, but running as well. So I'm going to say 24-17 is my final score, and the Baltimore Ravens will clinch the AFC North. Florio, what's yours?
The Browns have won 5 of 6 and are pushing to end Greg Williams' tenure this season at 6-2. Baker Mayfield is playing at an all-pro level, and the Browns are playing as well as any team in the league. They would love to ruin Baltimore's playoff hopes, but they face a buzzsaw in Baltimore, which has a unique quarterback in Lamar Jackson and the league's best defense. This will be quite a game, but the Ravens prevail barely. The Ravens failed to finish out last year's finale and missed the playoffs, but there's a different feeling this year, especially on defense. Baltimore has allowed the fewest fourth quarter points at 48 and has scored a defensive touchdown in 3 of the past 5 games. The Ravens won't let the AFC North title slip out of their grasp. Baltimore is a 79% favorite. Baltimore needs to just win to clinch the AFC North title. Baltimore is also still alive for a first-round bye with some help, but there is just a 2% chance of that happening per FPI. It'll be closer than the experts have it, but I do have the Baltimore Ravens pulling this one out. I'm going to go 23-20, Baltimore over Cleveland. Baltimore Ravens win the AFC North. So, really nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next game with major playoff implications here. It's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against the Denver Broncos at Broncos Field at Mile High in Denver. On the call for this one will be Spiro Dedes and Adam Archuleta. The Chargers opening up as 6.5 to 7-point favorites. These two teams met on back in week 11 on November the 18th, the day of the Survivor Series. And it was, believe it or not, the Denver Broncos who stole one at StubHub Center. They won that one 23-22. One of them, another upsets this season. I mean, that was a big one to say the very least. And okay. And with that, the series history, I believe it's Denver who leads the all-time series. I believe that win added to their series lead. And it did. It's now 65-51 with the tie, counting that Denver win in LA last season. Or I should say this season, rather. The Broncos, and this does not bode well for the Chargers. The Broncos have won the last 4 meetings in a row in Denver. One in Denver since 2013 when they were the then San Diego Chargers. That was a 27-20 final. So 4 in a row for Denver at home. So very tough indeed. So let's see what we have here. Just trying to find it. Okay. Anthony Lynn quoted Herm Edwards this week saying his team will play to win the game against the shorthanded Broncos. So even though the Bolts have clinched a playoff berth, expect dinged-up players like running backs Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler to play. Phillip Rivers threw for 401 yards in a loss to the Broncos earlier this year. Expect the veteran quarterback to attack a depleted Denver secondary. Rookie running back Philip Lindsay, who will miss Sunday's game with a right wrist injury, will be the Broncos' 8th multi-game starter on offense who will not be playing against the Chargers. Though it is difficult to believe the Broncos can leave behind the slow starts and 3-and-outs that have plagued them against the Chargers team playing for the possibility of home field advantage in the playoffs. What's at stake? The Chargers can leap to the top of the AFC playoff race with a win and a Chiefs loss at home to the Raiders. That would give them the AFC West title and home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Otherwise, they will be the number 5 seed. Chargers are 60.8% favorites. The Chargers can be the number 1 seed in the AFC, but more likely will be the number 5 seed. FPI gives Los Angeles a 5% chance to be the top seed and a 95% chance to be the number 5 seed. Nonetheless, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers winning this one, get their payback from that tough home loss to Denver in November. I will say final score here will be, I'm going to go 27-17 Chargers over the Broncos. And I believe they'll finish as the number 5 seed. So nothing more to say, Michael Bullock. Chargers, they got revenge on their mind after that embarrassing loss to Denver on Survivor Series Day. I think they should get their revenge here.
Not just losing to the Broncos back then, but of course coming off of that loss to Baltimore. I mean, that has to be a sour taste in the mouth for the LA Chargers. So yeah, I mean, all the Chargers have to do here is basically win and hopefully they become Oakland Raider fans. So we just have to wait and see how that goes. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say. You pretty much touched on it. I do expect the Chargers to bounce back, beat Denver. My final score, it's going to be 28-20. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next.
Samara's had a rough life. His awkward phase?
Yeah. And we move on. Speaking of the Raiders, we're going to get into them next, as the Oakland Raiders will look to play spoiler against the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Also on CBS. And we got Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Bruce Arians, Melanie Collins on the call. Chiefs opening up as big favorites. They're opening up as 13.5 to 14.5. 13.5 to 14.5 point favorites for the Chiefs. These two teams met just 4 weeks ago, back on the 2nd of this month in Oakland. It was a wild shootout, and it was the Chiefs who survived 40 to 33 in the Black Holes. So that win, I believe it added to Kansas City's lead. I believe Kansas City leads the all-time series between these two. Yes, they do. And Kansas City now leads at 62 to 52 with 2 ties. And this bodes well for Chiefs fans, because the Chiefs have won the last 5 meetings in a row at home against the Raiders. The Raiders have not won in Arrowhead since 2012. That was a 26-16 win for the Raiders. So before I give it to Bullock, we'll simply go over what's at stake. Here's another team that controls their own destiny. We talk about the Ravens controlling their own destiny when it comes to the AFC North. The Kansas City Chiefs control their own destiny when it comes to the number 1 seed in the AFC. A victory will clinch the AFC West and home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. If the Chiefs should somehow lose, they would need losses from the Chargers, Patriots, and Texans to remain the number 1 seed. And losses by the Chargers and either the Patriots or Texans would secure the number 2 seed for the Chiefs. Bullock, come on. Do you seriously think this team is going to lose at home against the Raiders when they control their own destiny for something so large as home field advantage throughout the AFC and ensuring that the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC goes through their house at Arrowhead?
I don't expect that, but as we said before, we've seen crazy things happen in the in Week 17, like we just mentioned earlier, and
this is true.
And the Oakland Raiders, I mean, yeah, they got nothing to play for, but John Gruden did bring up saying, you know what, we're not going to pack it in. We're going to play hard. We got guys playing for jobs here, so yeah, you may. I mean, Kansas City. I mean, they may pull this off, but Oakland could put up a fight here. So, I mean, because remember that game in Oakland, we all thought that they were going to blow out the Chiefs were going to blow out Oakland, and this ended up turning out to be a close one. And I mean, for the Kansas City Chiefs, all they got to do is just do their job. Do not look ahead to the playoffs. Do not overlook the Oakland Raiders, because I'll tell you this right now, Florio. If they do overlook the Oakland Raiders, they could it could be. I mean, they could end up losing that home field advantage. So all they just got to do is just do their job, and the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC side will go through Arrowhead. So to me, I got Kansas City winning this one, but I'm just going to say this to you, Florio. Do not, I repeat, do not be surprised if the Oakland Raiders do pull this off. I mean, we've seen some great battles between them in the AFC West, despite what the record shows for the Oakland Raiders. And you know John Gruden's going to have this team playing hard. Florio, I give it to you.
Do you have a final score for that one?
I didn't do that yet. I'm actually going to have it closer. I mean, they are 14-point favorites, but to me, I'm going to say 31-21 is going to be my final score. So, Kansas City, just do your job and do not, I repeat, do not overlook the Oakland Raiders because that will be a big mistake if you do that. Flory, what's yours?
Couldn't agree with you more. The Raiders are coming off an emotional high, a Christmas Eve win over the Broncos in what might have been their final game in Oakland, and will be playing for pride in Kansas City. The Chiefs, meanwhile, are playing not only for a division title, but also for playoff seeding and potential home field advantage throughout the postseason. The Chiefs have Travis Kelce, who torched Oakland for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns on 12 catches on December 2nd, and the Raiders have trouble covering tight ends. The Chiefs are 9-0 against teams that will not make the playoffs, like the Raiders. They are 4 seconds shy and a botched coverage on a Chargers 2-point conversion attempt, being similarly undefeated at Arrowhead. The Raiders are not strong enough to buck either of these trends. We already know what's at stake. Kansas City, a huge favorite, 91.7% favorite. The Chiefs need only to win a game against Oakland, in which they are huge favorites, to clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC. But they could do it with a loss and some help. Thanks to that, FPI gives the Chiefs a 92% chance to earn home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning as well. It will be a little bit closer than what the experts have it. I say they'll win this one 34-24. Kansas City over Oakland. So nothing more to say. Let's move on. Let's move back over to the NFC side of the ledger. Another game with playoff implications here. We have the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. This one will be over on Fox and on the call for this one will be Tom Spielman and Shannon Spake. Rams opening up as 10 to 11 point favorites. These two teams met back on October the 21st. Met in San Francisco. Easy win for the Rams. They won that one going away 39-10. And it cut San Francisco's series lead to just 68-66 with 3 ties. 49ers have won the last, but here's the thing, the 49ers have won the last 2 meetings in Los Angeles. The Rams have not beaten the 49ers in Los Angeles since all the way back in, my goodness, 1980? Am I reading that right? Wow. 1980. No, I stand corrected. 1986. But no matter how you slice it, it's still a long time. That's the last time the Rams beat the 49ers in Los Angeles. 1986. So there's that. So let's dive into this one. The 49ers have won 4 consecutive Week 17 games against the Rams, but there hasn't been much at stake in most of those matchups. This time, the Rams might need a win to sew up a first-round bye, depending on what the Chicago Bears do in their finale. Unlike last year, Los Angeles likely will play its starters the whole game, which means the Rams should have a clear advantage. The Rams are motivated in Week 17 to secure a first-round bye, to continue to tune up their offense, and to help defensive tackle Aaron Donald break the single-season sack record. Donald tallied a career-best 4 sacks earlier this season against the 49ers and needs 3 sacks to tie and 4 sacks to break Hall of Famer Michael Strahan's single-season sack record of 22.5. What's at stake? The Rams will clinch a first-round bye with a win or a Bears loss to the Vikings. The 49ers, of course, are well out of it. Rams 89.5% favorites. The Rams can clinch a first round bye with a win, but they would still have a 56% chance at a bye, even with a loss, according to FPI. The 49ers still have a slim chance at the number 1 overall pick, but the odds of that are just 3%, according to FPI. Another game that I think will be a little bit closer than what the experts have it, but I'm still going to go with the Los Angeles Rams to win this one. I'm going to say the final score, 30-20, Rams over the 49ers. They will clinch the number 2 seed and get that other first round bye along with New Orleans. So nothing more to say. Bullock, another team that controls their own destiny. All the Rams have to do is win, and they will secure that other first round bye along with the Saints in the NFC.
I do expect the Rams to bounce back here. Even though they're not going to have Todd Gurley, and the 49ers are not a good team, but here's another thing. They could also still get that first round bye if the Chicago Bears lose to the Minnesota Vikings. So that's another thing. So yeah, I agree. I do expect the LA Rams to win, but I do think it's going to be closer. I'm going to say 28-20 is going to be my final score. So yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So let's move on to our next game.
And speaking of that big game between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings, that is our next game here on edition of NFL Friday. You could basically call this the game of the week in the NFC. Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews will be there. And the Vikings opening up as 4.5 to 5 point favorites. These two teams met on a Sunday night back on the night of the Survivor Series, November the 18th. And it was the Chicago Bears who came away with the win, 25-20. So it now cuts Minnesota's series lead to 60-52 with 2 ties, and the Bears snapping a 3-game losing streak to the Vikings. The Bears have not won. Well, this bodes well for Vikings fans. The Vikings have won the last 6 meetings in a row at home, whether it's US Bank Stadium or even the Metrodome, against the Bears. The Bears have not won in Minnesota since 2011. That was a 17-13 win for the Bears at the old Metrodome. So before I give it to Bullock, what's at stake? Very simple. The Vikings need a win or an Eagles loss or tie to clinch a playoff spot. With a win, they would be the number 5 seed if the Seahawks lose, and the number 6 seed if the Seahawks win. The Bears, who have already clinched the NFC North, have incentive as well. They can clinch a first-round bye with a victory and a Rams loss. So Bullock, safe to say, without question, this is far and away the game of the week on the NFC side. A lot at stake for both teams.
Oh yes, definitely a lot at stake for both teams. Like you said, Minnesota, like you said, they need to beat the Bears or have Philadelphia lose to Washington in order to clinch a playoff spot. And the Bears, like you said, they can't finish any worse than third, but they can't get that first round bye if the LA Rams lose. So a lot at stake here. For Kirk Cousins, he's got to deal with that Bears defense, but he's got a chance to prove himself to try to why he earned that big time money in the offseason. So this is going to be a tough one for this Minnesota offense, having to deal with that Bears defense. So man, this is tough, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this one. My final score, 24-17. Chicago wins and plays really good defense to hold down that Minnesota offense. Florio, it's yours.
Ooh, man. Very tough indeed. Very tough to call here. But let's get through it. Matt Nagy stressed all week that the Bears intend to pull out all the stops to beat Minnesota, even with a playoff spot safely secured. That line of thinking holds true. The Bears' defense is likely to once again stymie Kirk Cousins and the Vikings' offense. Chicago enters Week 17 number 1 in takeaways, 36, interceptions, 27, and points off takeaways, 107. The Bears are also the only team in the NFL to hold a second-half lead in every game. It's do or die time for the Vikings, who need a win over the Bears to clinch the final spot in the NFC playoffs. Several things factor into an advantage for the Vikings. Number 1, Minnesota's defense is lights out at US Bank Stadium, allowing a league-low 75.7 passer rating at home. Number 2, outside of an embarrassing annihilation against Buffalo, the Bears have not been very good on the road. Minnesota, I think, will get it done this week with a very strong possibility that it faces Chicago at Soldier Field again during Wild Card Weekend. We already talked about it. Vikings need a win or an Eagles loss, so we already know that story. Minnesota, 57.6% favorite. The Vikings can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a tie or an Eagles loss or tie. FPI puts the odds of a Vikings playoff berth at 76%. The Bears can still get a first-round bye with a win and a Rams loss, but that is far less likely with just a 5% chance according to FPI. I'm sorry, Bullock. I got to respectfully disagree with you. I got the Minnesota Vikings winning this one. I'm going to go 23-20. Minnesota over Chicago. Should be an exciting game. No doubt about it. So with all that being said, let's move on now to our next game with playoff implications. And this one comes to the AFC North, as it will be the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh over on CBS. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, Steve Tasker on the call. Steelers, the largest of the week, they're opening up as 14.5 to 16-point favorites against the Bungles, if you will. These two teams met on October 14th in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh won that one by a count of 28-21. And it extended Pittsburgh's lead. It's now 61-35. Steelers have absolutely owned the Bengals in recent years. They have swept them. They've swept them 3. They have now won, including that infamous wild card game, 2, 4, 6. It's now 7. They've now won 6 in a row against the Bengals. And they've won the last 2 meetings in Pittsburgh. Cincinnati last stole in Pittsburgh in 2015. That was a 16-10 final. So here we go. Steelers the Bungles. If the Bengals couldn't beat the Steelers mostly full roster at home early in the season, it's pretty unlikely they're going to do it with a depleted roster on the road. The Bengals just don't have the firepower left on the roster at this point. Back-to-back performances against New England and New Orleans showed the Steelers can play anybody. And despite Cincinnati almost always playing Pittsburgh close, with 4 of the last 7 matchups decided by 7 or fewer points, the Steelers ride a 7-game winning streak over a seriously depleted Bengals squad. Pittsburgh's offense should overwhelm here. What's at stake? The Steelers win the AFC North title with a victory and a Ravens loss to the Browns. If the Ravens win, the only way the Steelers can make the playoffs is if they win and the Colts and Titans tie. The Bengals, of course, are out of it. 86.4% favorites. The Steelers have an 18.5% chance to make the playoffs, according to FPI, but their chances this season peaked at 98.1%. in the last 4 seasons, the only team to miss the playoffs that had odds that high at any point of the season was the 2015 Atlanta Falcons at 98.5%. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this one. Final score 27-16. Pittsburgh over Cincinnati. Nothing more to say here. So Bullock, I mean, Pittsburgh, they got to take care of their business against Cincy. But on top of that, they need a lot of help if they're going to find their way back into the postseason. So Bullock, it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Pittsburgh, I mean, they really need a bounce back after that tough loss to the New Orleans Saints. And yeah, they need to win, and they definitely need a lot of help. Well, if they're going to have any chance of making the playoffs here, but I do expect them to bounce back. I think they could get James Conner back. I mean, I mean the Bengals, they're going to try to play the role of spoiler, even though I just don't like their chances here. But to me, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this one. I'm going to say 30 to 17 is going to be my final score. So Florio, I give it to you.
We move on now to our next matchup. Playoff implications here. Squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks at CenturyLink Field in Seattle. Over on Fox, we got Sam Rosen, Brady Quinn, and Lisa Byington from the Big Ten Network on the call for this. Seattle, huge favorites. They're opening up as 13.5 to 14-point favorites. These two teams met in Arizona back in week 4 on September 30th. Seattle won that one, 20-17 in Arizona. And with that win, the series history is now tied. Both teams are tied. It's 19-19 with a tie between Arizona and Seattle. Arizona. Believe it or not, folks, Arizona has actually won the last 3 meetings in a row against Seattle. The Seahawks have not beaten the Cardinals at home since their Super Bowl run in 2000. Well, actually, no, it was their second Super Bowl run, 2014. That was a 19-3 win. But the last 3 years, Arizona has stolen one in Seattle. So I do believe it's Bullock who starts off here. And, well, the simple question is, what's at stake? Seahawks are in. They're playing for seeding now, Bullock. They'll be the number 5 seed if they win and the number 6 seed if they lose. And the Cardinals, with a loss, can clinch the number one pick in the 2019 draft. How about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the win last Kansas City, huge win. I mean, a win that I predicted and got right. And with that win, they're now in the playoffs, and now they have a chance to improve upon it. While the Cardinals, I mean, a loss here, and like you said, they could get that number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft come April. So a lot at stake here, but to me, I mean, I got to go with the Seahawks in this one. I think they're going to build that momentum from that huge win over the Kansas City Chiefs. I expect Russell Wilson to have another solid game. So to me, I got to go with the Seahawks. My final score, I'm going to go 30 to 13. It's going to be my final score. Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, let me just set this up real quick. Okay. The Seahawks are trending up while the Cardinals are trending down. Sunday will also be a battle of Seattle's number 1 rushing offense against the Cardinals' 32nd ranked rushing defense. The first meeting was close, with the Seahawks winning 20-17. But a lot has changed since week 4. On top of all that, a loss would give the Cardinals the number 1 pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. An upset for the Cardinals as 13.5-point underdogs would be plausible if the Seahawks decided to rest some of their starters now that they've secured a playoff spot. But Pete Carroll made it clear this week that his team is keeping its foot on the gas, opting to try to maintain the momentum it has built. Seattle, 94.3% favorites. The Seahawks are the biggest favorite in any game this season and biggest favorite in any game since 2013, according to FPI. A win would clinch the number 5 seed for Seattle, and I think they will do just that. I got Seattle winning this one going away, 31-10. Seattle all over Arizona. So there's really nothing more to say on that one. Our final 425 kickoff from the NFC East, and it features your reigning and defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the Washington Redskins at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Chris Myers, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Laura Oakman will be on the call. Philadelphia opening up as 6.5 to 7-point favorites. Let me just see something here. These two teams met back on December the 3rd, just north of 4 weeks ago, on a Monday night in Philadelphia. Eagles won that one 20-13 in Philadelphia, and it cuts Washington's series lead to 85-76 with 5 ties. Eagles won in Washington last year, 30-17. I believe that was on opening day last year. Redskins last beat the Eagles at home in 2016. That was a 27-20 final. And what's at stake? Well, we'll get into that in a minute because I start this one off. The Eagles offense has taken off under Nick Foles, scoring 30 points in each of the past 2 games after hitting that mark just once over the previous 13 outings. The Eagles have gotten some injured players back, Darren Sproles, Jordan Hicks, Tim Jernigan, and finally are starting to play like the Super Bowl champions. The Redskins have lost 5 of their last 6, and while they have played better the past 2 games, they're still not equipped to beat a good team because of all their injuries. They now have 23 players on injured reserve. The Eagles need a victory and help via a Vikings loss to clinch a playoff spot. Redskins are out. Philly opening up as a 57.2% favorite. Philadelphia's path to the postseason is simple. The Eagles need a win and a loss by the Vikings. FPI puts the odds of all of those outcomes happening at 24%. Eagles win. I'm going to say 28-16. Philadelphia over Washington. So Bullock, if Philadelphia is going to have any chance to defend their Super Bowl championship, they need to win, and they have to hope that somehow Minnesota loses at home to Chicago. So Bullock, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, if Philadelphia, like you said, they want to have any chance of getting back to the playoffs and defending their title, they need to just basically win and, like you said, hope for a Minnesota Viking loss along the way. I mean, the Eagles, they're coming off of a huge victory over the Houston Texans last week, and certainly, and Nick Foles. I mean, we could say that Nick Foles is looking like that quarterback that led the Eagles to that Super Bowl victory when he threw for 400. I mean, when he had that unbelievable game last week against the Texans, and yeah, I mean, I do expect the Eagles to win this one. I expect Nick Foles to have another big game. So yeah, so there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So I'm gonna say the Eagles win it 28-17. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to what is our final game of Week 17, and it's plain and simple: win and you're in.
More like winner take all. That's
Yeah.
really what it is in this case.
Either one of those two.
Sunday Night Football on NBC, the final game of the NFL regular season. From the AFC South, the AFC game of the week, without a doubt. The Indianapolis Colts squaring off against the Tennessee Titans at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. The spread favors the Indianapolis Colts 3 to 3.5. These two teams met on November the 18th, which was, of course, the day of the Survivor Series. Indianapolis won that one at Lucas Oil Stadium, going away 38 to 10. And it added to Indianapolis's series lead. It's now 32 to 15. Tennessee won in Nashville last year, 36 to 22. Colts last win in Nashville the year before, 2016. That was a 34 to 26 final. So it's very simple. Very, very simple when it comes to this one. The winner of this game will make the playoffs, a wild card team if the Texans win, and as the AFC South champion if the Texans lose. So Bullock, nothing more to say. In the immortal words of one Vince McMahon from 2001, prior to that Survivor Series, it's winner take all.
It is definitely winner take all here, and like we said, I mean, this is a game where you win this game, you're in the playoffs. The loser, they go home. I mean, both teams are 9-6, but the thing is, Andrew Luck has owned the Titans since he entered the league. He is 10-0 against the AFC South division rival, but Luck noted this week that the past doesn't have any impact on this game. The Colts have climbed from a 1-5 hole to win 8 of their last 9 for a chance to make the playoffs for the first time since 2014. That run includes a 38-10 victory over the Titans back on November 18th when Luck passed for 297 yards with 3 touchdowns and no picks. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel and his team are not focusing on Luck's dominance over Tennessee, though. Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota had to leave that game against Indianapolis in the second quarter with an elbow injury, and there are questions as to whether Mariota will play on Sunday. He left last week's game against the Redskins with a neck stinger, and backup Blaine Gabbert rallied the Titans to a 25-16 win. Mariota was held out of Wednesday's practice, but still hopes to start Sunday's game. The Titans are going to have to rely on the running game with Derrick Henry, who was rushed for 966 yards this season and has a chance to go over 1,000 yards. The Titans have won 4 in a row, and their strength is their defense. Tennessee is second in the NFL in scoring defense, allowing just 18 points per game, and they have not yielded more than 16 in any of their past 3 games. However, defensive lineman Jurrell Casey, a 4-time Pro Bowl pick and the Titans' best defensive player, suffered a knee injury against the Redskins and was placed on injured reserve. So that part there, I think, is really going to hurt the Titans defensively. And, of course, if not having Marcus Mariota in the game. So I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts to win this one. I'm going to say my final score is going to be, I'm going to go 28-21. Colts hold off, get that final playoff spot. Florio, it's yours.
Quarterback Andrew Luck is a perfect 10-0 in his career against the Titans. He and the Colts could be facing the Titans without starting quarterback Marcus Mariota with a stinger. And Tennessee will be without its best defensive player in Jurrell Casey with a knee injury. The Colts aren't in a position to take the Titans lightly in this win and make the playoffs game because the last time they faced a backup quarterback, Cody Kessler and the Jacksonville Jaguars blanked them 6-0 earlier this month. There won't be a slippage by the Colts this time. Titans defense plays with a different swagger at Nissan Stadium where the team is 6-1. Tennessee needs to find a way to slow down Andrew Luck and company without Jurrell Casey. Add in the possibility of not having Marcus Mariota under center, and things look bleak for the Titans. However, under Mike Vrabel, Tennessee has taken on a next man up mindset, which has put the team in position to secure a postseason berth and 10 wins in his first season as a head coach. Look for Derrick Henry and the Titans offense to work on controlling the clock to keep Andrew Luck off the field. Indianapolis, slight favorite, 51.4%. This game provides us with a win and you're in scenario. And FPI is currently slightly favoring the Colts due to the uncertainty of Marcus Mariota's status. If Mariota is good to go, the Titans will be slight favorites at 54% according to FPI. If it's Blaine Gabbert, they will be underdogs at 42%. But I agree with you, Bullock. I've got the Indianapolis Colts winning this one. My final score, I'm going to go 24-17, Indianapolis over Tennessee. Should be a great game either way. So, all that being said, move on to our latest NFL power rankings, and I'm gonna take it for a spin as I always do, because I know Bullock will agree with me on everything. So with all that being said, let's dive on in and see who tops the charts this week, if you will. So here we go. Just give me one moment. We have okay, there we go. Number 10, Dallas Cowboys. Well, actually, hold on 1 minute. Yeah, okay. Stand corrected. I have the wrong rankings here. So just give me 1 second here. All right. Had the wrong sheet up there. Now I've got it. So okay, we're ready to go now. So here we go. Now we got it. Number 10, Seattle Seahawks. This will be a dangerous team come playoff time. They've been through it before, and that defense is getting better. Number 9, Dallas Cowboys. They are division champs and can rest now until the playoffs. The defense came up big against the Bucs. Number 8, Indianapolis Colts. If they beat the Titans, they're in the playoffs. Andrew Luck has to come up big. Number 7, taking a hit, the Los Angeles Chargers. They will now likely have to travel the road path to win in the playoffs. That will not be easy. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. With that defense, they can make a real run. Lamar Jackson is improving as a passer as well. Number 5, New England Patriots. With one more victory, they will earn a bye in the AFC. Ho-hum, they did it again. Number 4, the Chicago Bears. It wasn't pretty against the 49ers, but they found a way. The offense has to be better going forward. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. They have lost 2 straight, but need just a victory over the Raiders to lock up the top seed in the AFC. Number 2, the Los Angeles Rams. They have to win this week to lock up a first-round bye. They will. And number 1, it's the New Orleans Saints. The playoffs to New Orleans in the NFC. They will be tough to beat. So that's pretty much it. So that will put the bow on this Week 17 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Michael Bullock, come on back in real quick. We'll get your shout-outs, and then we'll set up a very light, and I do mean very light, future content.
All right, of course, shout-outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's Strictly Sports or any of our wrestling forum shows. We definitely appreciate it. We thank you all so very much for tuning in here tonight. And of course, shout-outs to our super fans out there. You guys know who you are. To our friends from our high school days, you guys know who you are. To our local personalities from 6, 10, and 12, our personalities from ESPN, Fox Sports, MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, all the other networks. And of course, Stata Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick. And of course, our friends from the Road Show, former co-host Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, the three current people, Will, Brendan, and Michaela. So, and of course, most importantly, I want to say Happy New Year to all of you guys out there, especially to you, Anthony Florio. I hope you guys have a great New Year's Eve on Monday night. And of course, most importantly, stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. And yeah, I mean, let's ring in 2019 the right way. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. So until, I can't believe I'm saying this, till next Friday night for what I think is going to be our season finale of Strictly Sports NFL Friday. This is the Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up. Bye for now, my friends. And of course, enjoy your weekend. Happy New Year, everybody. So, nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you.
Yes, indeed. Very special. A very special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. Of course, special shout out to Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, the Woodson family. Our insiders, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. The other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Alv Raderson, and Rob Parsons. Of course, two very special shout outs, of course, first and foremost, good old MF Michael Fletcher, who couldn't be with us tonight. I'm guessing was because of work commitments beyond his control. And a very, very special shout out to Derek Ferreira, DF from RI 401. I know he's had a rough week considering the actions of a certain Hammernager jabroni, which will leave nameless. But I just want to let him know that, you know, after that epic rant that Bullock went on last week, Derek, we're with you, man. That's all there is to say on that. We're here for you, man. That's all there is to say on that. So,
hey, we're behind him 100%.
Amen to that. And we'll park it there. Besides, he's also the one who puts it all together. So, major shout out to him as always. Of course, all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12. All of our friends over at ESPN, FS1, NFL Network, NHL Network, MLB Network, NBA TV. Lindsay McCormick and Stata Sorrell as usual. Of course, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson, the former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And of course, last but not least, my wonderful friends and church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning at 9, Bible study. A little after 10, right around 10:30 will be the Sunday morning service. And Monday night, a very special New Year's Eve celebration, which I'm very much looking forward to. And no Wednesday night Bible study until January the 9th. And that's pretty much it from there. So very much looking forward to seeing them on Sunday morning for the final Sunday morning service of 2018. It's going to be amazing. I know it is. A very special one as well. Looking forward to it very much so. And then, of course, the big New Year's celebration on Monday night. So double excitement there. So that's it for that. Of course, because of the New Year's holiday, both Ridiculously Raw and the Cerebral Smack Talk are both going to be preempted once again this week, just like it was this past week for Christmas. So we will be off for New Year's as well. So that means we will not be seeing you next time until a week from tonight, next Friday night, for Football Friday. And on that show, we will preview all 4 NFL wildcard games as part of Wildcard Weekend. And then in our main event, of course, it will be our preview of the College Football Playoff National Championship game, we'll see who battle it out for that trophy in San Francisco. We'll find that out in about 24 hours or so after the dust settles from those two games. And go Notre Dame. Had to slip that in there, but it is what it is. And that's it. So until next Friday night for that big Football Friday show, it's Anthony Floyo here for Michael Bullock and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Dede Woodson, and of course DF from RI 401 Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed, not only a blessed weekend, but also a very happy and blessed new year. Like Bullock said, let's keep it safe out there on the roads, and hopefully no nonsense will go down. And have a blessed week. And until next Friday night for Football Friday, you've been watching Week 17 of Strictly Sports NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Floyo, so long. And bye, everybody. Bye. Happy New Year, my friends.